Hello, it's Jonathan Wellham of Rocklinc Investment Partners, and it's November the 9th, 2016, and it is the day after the U.S. election and the election of Donald Trump to the position of presidency in the United States. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that because the airwaves in Canada have just amazing misinformation. We've had questions from our clients, emails from our clients, and so I want to talk specifically about what I think this election will mean and the reality that we should be much happier to see Donald Trump elected as the next president of the United States vis-a-vis Hillary Clinton. In fact, although I'm not fans of either, from my perspective, when I look at the data and try to be objective about it, there is virtually no comparison when it comes to who one should want in office. And so I want to talk a little bit about that and the reasons why we should be actually quite happy to see Donald Trump in power in comparison to Hillary Clinton. So I've got 14 reasons that I want to lay out for you. And let me go through those reasons quickly, one by one, and give you my quick analysis in terms of the rationale for a Donald Trump victory. You'll also notice that I've got the Make America Great hat here from Donald Trump, which I ordered shortly after he joined the competition for the GOP nomination. And you can also see behind me my little sticker that I've got up on my map there in my office at home. So let me speak to the issue then of Donald Trump. Number one, Donald Trump is a business person, and I think that the U.S. needs someone who's competent in terms of management, knows how to delegate, and get the very best people in the respective positions so that they can truly compete as a nation on the world scene. And we want this to happen because when America's strong, the global economy is strong, and Canada's strong. And so I like the fact that we're going to put in power a man who knows how to make a deal. Number one. Number two, Trump is an outsider. And if anything should be obvious to observers of this election and to the situation in Washington, D.C., and that is the establishment is just thoroughly corrupt. I mean, it's more than astounding what has come out over the last number of months, especially through WikiLeaks and other news sources that just showed the systemic corruption in Washington. I dare say that we have similar corruption in Queen's Park, and we're finding out also that corruption is coming back in spades in Ottawa, again, now that we have a Liberal government there also. But back to the U.S. situation, if anyone's going to help solve that problem, it will be an outsider who's not beholden to the special interests. So that's the second reason why we should prefer Trump. Third, Trump will put more competent individuals around him in all the various positions that he's going to have to fill. The positions that were filled by Obama and Clinton were shameful, unqualified, incompetent ideologues who were incredibly socialistic and really did not have the United States' best interests at heart at all and wanted to fundamentally alter the country from what has made it a great country historically. Number four, Trump will negotiate flawed and imbalanced trade agreements. I think this is very important. The world has massive trade imbalances, and they are not healthy. The U.S. in particular has a trade deficit, which means they have an outflow of wealth equal to about $800 billion per year that they are importing vis-a-vis their exports. And this is not sustainable. And Donald Trump is going to address this imbalance, which disturbs and causes, again, further reverberations through the global economy. And it's going to have to be addressed at some point, and it's going to need someone with the intestinal fortitude to address it, and certainly not politicians. Number five, Trump has promised to decentralize healthcare again. And this is going to be critical because no government can afford the universal healthcare bill. We're finding that out in Ontario. And the United States needs to stay a long ways away from universal health care, single payer. It will put an absolute financial dagger into the system. And so this is essential. I mean, Americans are finding this out now as they see these massive increases in the so-called Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare. So that's important. Number 6, he's promised to slash unnecessary and crippling regulations. And the amount of regulations in industry is beyond belief, and it's crippling small and medium-sized businesses and making it virtually impossible for them to compete against the big multinational corporations and the special interests. And so this is going to be wonderful, an unleashing of a lot of the ingenuity and creativity and wealth within the United States if you can cut regulations. Number 7, lower taxes. Lower personal taxes, lower corporate taxes. Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, wanted to increase taxes, increase the size of the state. This is craziness. The states and the governments around the world are already far too large and are dampening long-term growth and destroying the wealth of the middle class. And so by dropping taxes on the middle class and also, most importantly, on corporations, there's trillions of dollars overseas in the big Fortune 500 companies in the United States that will start to come back to the United States and add tremendous capital back into investments, which will provide jobs and long-term growth and prosperity. The decentralization of education would be the 8th reason. The education system in the States is even worse than what we have in Canada, if that's possible. And it's too centralized, it's too controlled out of Washington. It needs to be localized, and it needs to be opened up and made more competitive so that parents have the choice where they want to send their children, which will make a substantial difference both in the inner cities and across America. So the decentralization of education, increased choice. Number 9, Trump will appoint judges that will uphold the U.S. Constitution and not legislate from the bench and create laws that are unnecessary, against the common interest of the people, and also against really the common will of the people. And so we've seen this repetitively over and over, where judges overstep and make laws. Laws are to be made by the legislative branch in government, not by the judicial. And so this, I think, will change dramatically, and hopefully Trump will have the opportunity to appoint a lot of judges, both federal judges and also, of course, to the Supreme Court ultimately. Number 10, Trump supports law enforcement. He supports the police. What we saw with Obama and Clinton in the last administration is just outrageous, where they undermine civil order, they undermine law enforcement, and there's no way that you can create wealth without security and protection. Number 11, Trump will not feed the corrupt United Nations, and he's made it clear that he's not going to put the money in for all this carbon tax and support all this so-called global warming initiatives. What he's going to do is take that money and put it back into the U.S. economy and into industry and into businesses that will encourage them to be more conscious of the environment and to improve the environmental efficiency of their businesses, rather than to give it to a thoroughly corrupt organization known as the United Nations that will waste that money. Unlike our governments, we have just this terrible situation in Canada where our governments are just going to hand over more and more money, increase the cost of doing business in this country, and run capital out of Canada. And so Trump's doing the exact opposite, and good for him. It's certainly going to be much better for the United States. Number 12, protect the borders, the U.S. borders, and have a rational immigration policy. No country can run itself and keep autonomy over itself without having proper borders, a proper immigration policy, knowing who's coming into the country and making sure that those people can integrate into the society. This is essential, and this is one of the things I think that really resonated with Americans. This open border policy is a disaster, and there's so many things I could say about that, but that's something that certainly only Trump has talked about with any kind of force and any kind of conviction, which is necessary to change the situation. Number 13, peace through strength, not humiliation and retreat. The world is a better place when we have a strong America, not a humiliated America, not an America that's in retreat, not an America that won't defend its interests properly. And so I'm quite happy to see a U.S. and a U.S. neighbor and friend that is strong, can stand up to evil, is not pushed around in the world, and have a much steadier hand on the till in Donald Trump than in Hillary Clinton, who has been an absolute disaster in terms of foreign policy. And the nerve of her to go after Donald Trump when she has been a complete and utter failure when it comes to security issues outside the United States. And then lastly, protect religious freedom and the traditional family. We have seen a tremendous attack by the institutions of government on religious freedom in the United States, similar to what we're seeing here in Canada, and also on the traditional family. And again, I shouldn't have to tell you, you cannot run a productive, wealth-producing economy without, in a democratic system, without religious freedom and without strong families, committed families, families that are committed to raising children and investing in the next generation. So those are 14 reasons why I am much more optimistic to have a Donald Trump presidency than a Hillary Clinton presidency. Now, what does that mean when it comes to some of our investing? Very briefly, this video has gone on long enough already, but let me just say that we continue to buy quality companies, excellent balance sheets, looking at long-term industries. All this huffing and puffing about, Donald Trump, the market's going to fall and go down, it's going to be a disaster. These people don't have a clue. The initiatives that he's put in place are pro-business, pro-market, pro-wealth creation, pro-middle class, pro-freedom. And so these will all lead to much better situation relative to not putting these initiatives in place. And again, we've got many, many challenges around the world. This is not going to be easy. Having said that, at least these initiatives are a step in the right direction. And so we continue to have great infrastructure companies, staples, agriculture, water, precious metals. I think we could see a resurgence of inflation, so we want to be careful there. And keeping some cash so that we can take advantage of volatility in the marketplace. And boy, we've seen a lot of volatility. So we remain focused on the markets, on reality, not the New York Times, not the Wall Street Journal, not CNN, which has been affectionately called the Clinton News Network. We need to think for ourselves, and we need to look at the real world and listen to real people on the street, not the people that inhabit Washington, D.C., or the people that sit in Queen's Park, or the people that inhabit Ottawa and are completely out of touch with what's going on in the real world, on the main street, where wealth is actually made and where wealth is truly earned. So if you have any questions, let me know, and you can contact me with all the numbers, and look forward to updating you next month. Thank you very much. Bye now.